use it against them, and that cuts them to the core. They don't, when we take money from when we take drugs from drug cartels, we all we're doing is taking a commodity that they have just a few cents on the dollar invested in. We take their money, and it's money to them just the same as it is to anybody else. We cut them to the core. We use it against them. Plus, we fund other public safety programs. The computer crimes program he just mentioned. All that was completely purchased by and funded by drug cartel money. So you bet. I'll take all the drug cartel money I can get my hand on.
Okay, another question.
My name's Ferlin. I appreciate both of you coming, appreciate your service, the military and the sheriff's department. You stated the only thing this bill will do is divert the money to the state and away from the county. You called it a cartel income protection asset program. Why would the criminals care where the money goes? If it goes to the county or goes to the state, why would they care more to the bill than just where the money goes?
No, what the...
I mean, if it's just going to the state and I'm a criminal, I don't care about that.
Sure. And I understand where you're confused on that. What the two DAs were trying to say, that the undersheriff quoted them as saying, the only person that's going to profit from this bill, if these funds get taken away from local law enforcement, will be the drug cartels. Because if the program, like in Canadian, and actually the only program I could actually talk to you about is Canadian County Sheriff's Office program, because that's the only one I'm familiar with. But I can tell you this, if we were to lose those funds from the drug cartels, we could afford to have 5 deputies up on the highway and run that drug interdiction program 7 days a week. We couldn't afford to. The funds wouldn't be there. I think I can speak for most law enforcement that they couldn't afford to continue with their CID programs because the funds wouldn't be there. And so thereby taking the law enforcement away from it, taking the law enforcement away from it for lack of funding, because the state will have the funds. It would open us up to be an open corridor like it has in New Mexico for the transportation.
So this law does absolutely nothing to change the forfeiture process. Nothing.
Just where the money goes.
Just where the money goes.
Primarily just where the money goes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's my question.
Yeah.
Okay, I would add this, as there's a question for me. You talk a lot about drug money, which most of the people here don't have a problem with. We're talking about other private forfeitures of automobiles and excessive tickets and fines. For instance, a law enforcement department that has quotas on tickets so that they can cover the cost of their officers, so they have their officers out writing tickets to make their pay. That's not a way to serve the public. That's the question most of us have in mind.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Can you answer that? Is it just about drugs for you, or does it include all the other forfeitures as well?
It includes all the other forfeitures. Asset forfeitures are simply put, it's the proceeds or the assets derived from criminal activity, as the undersheriff so eloquently pointed out about the pimp and the prostitute. I don't know about you, but it offends me that somebody would derive funds from prostitutes and not pay taxes on them. They're derived from immoral activity, illegal activity, and shouldn't have shouldn't derive the funds from that. If we let them keep their funds from these illegal activities, well then we're basically stamping our as a society, stamping our approval on it's okay to do this.
Adelaide Brinkley is another example.
Okay, got a question here.
My name is Mark. Now, I've heard both of you guys speak last week. I heard the senator speak last week. And I've heard the New Mexico solution being used, or as a pattern. How is their system working under this pattern?
It's not working. The gentleman that I corresponded with is in charge of their CID program, and he said the state legislature thinks that that they're going to derive all these resources from the CID program. And he said next year, or the end of this year, they'll drive everything that was forfeited, they get those funds. But from that year thereafter, they're not going to get anything, because he said we're not doing anything. So the state's not going to be getting near the funds or resources or assets they think they're going to, because the gentleman in New Mexico that's in charge of the program has told me they're not doing anything. So after the first year, when they get the funds that have already been forfeited, there's not going to be any funds or very, very little funds for the state to get.
Go ahead, McCarty. You standing for a question? Yes. Okay, we have one here first, and then you, and then I got to get up and stand. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Neil, and as introduced earlier, I'm prior law enforcement. And I spent a lot of years with the California Highway Patrol, and I think it's one of the best trained and most respected agencies in the country. A lot of police officers come to California to get trained in our program. I would like to make a clarification from last week, Sheriff and Chris.
You need to make this in the form of a question.
Yeah, but I'm asking them a question. Do you remember last week when there was a comment about putting a driver's license in a registration certificate in a plastic envelope and hanging it out the window at a DUI check? I think we left here feeling that there was a little gray area there. And my question to you is, if you agree or not, that under the law, when you get a driver's license, it is not a right to have a driver's license, it's a privilege. And that privilege requires you, when you sign for that license, to comply with all the laws, especially a DUI checkpoint. So a police officer at a DUI checkpoint cannot adequately measure the amount of alcohol on your breath, the color of your eyes, the slurring of your speech through a window. And so I'm asking if you agree, so there's clarification to the group that left here thinking that they could put their license in a bag and hang it out the window and not speak to a law enforcement officer is totally wrong.
That's totally wrong. That's one of the things that was statements that was made in here last week that I didn't get an opportunity to respond to. Thank you for asking it.
My name's Ken. Thanks for coming today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Can you talk a little bit about civil asset forfeiture? And what I mean is that there are horror stories all over this country about things being taken, assets being taken, and the criminal is the asset, the way I understand it, and no criminal charged, no person charged.
What's the question?
And is that true? And can you tell us about how that's taken care of? Like, people have a hard time getting their assets back if nobody's charged. Do you know about that? Anything about that?
In every case where there's a suspect, there's a charge that has been charged. Now, whether or not they return and refute those charges and have their day in court, that's beyond our control. But if in every case they get their day in court or due process. Now, I think if I understand the question correctly, you may be referring to something the undersheriff touched briefly on, and that's non-ownership affidavits. You would be surprised how many tens and $50,000 and $100,000 that people have in their vehicle in hidden compartments that our dogs pick up on and, or they give us permission to search the vehicle. And we find the money and say, do you know anything about this? We ask them. They say, nope, don't know anything about that. That's not mine. I don't claim it, don't have anything to do with it. I don't even want it in my vehicle. And they sign the say, okay, well, I'm glad I found it. Sign this non-ownership affidavit, if they can speak English. Sign this non-ownership affidavit, and you can be on your way. And they sign the non-ownership affidavit and thank us for getting that contraband out of the vehicle, and they leave. And in that case, no, there's not a suspect that's been charged with anything. We have to advertise that then as found property, and if nobody claims it, it's forfeited by a judge, not law enforcement. It's forfeited by a judge.
Question.
Hi, I'm Steve Lewis, and I just want to know how you guys can try to come to a debate when you've totally missed the point. The senator, all the rest of us understand criminal. You guys are browbeating us and the senator about criminal cases. We're talking about a civil forfeiture. This happens all the time by law enforcement. In my 60 years of life, I've had dozens of times where local law agencies in this area have held me at gunpoint at roadside for no reason. Plus, my vehicle was seized in December. So
Dozens of times?
Dozens of times.
Wow, I've never
On
had
mistaken identity, and where they think my vehicle looks like a vehicle that was involved in a crime someplace else, and they're going to delay me on the roadside and cover me with their 45 next to my temple? No. You guys are judge and jury, just like the senator said, in my experience in 60 years. And
that's happened
the question is,
times.
how can you guys come here when you totally missed the point when you were talking about criminal when the senator is talking about civil?
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Steve.
Don't ever gamble. You don't have very good luck.
Again, Mike. Again, 31 years, I probably haven't drawn my weapon a dozen times on people. I think that, wow, you must have really bad luck. But again, I don't think that we have missed the point, and I think I pointed it out, that where's the evidence? Where's the smoking gun? Cite the Oklahoma cases where this has happened. And did everybody hear that when I asked it? Yeah, we talked about the criminal activity, but we're saying that, we're bringing that up because we're saying that this legislation is going to negatively impact law enforcement's ability to disrupt criminal activity. Did everybody hear that? Okay, and we also said, show us the smoking gun, where's the overwhelming, widespread, or minute abuse for us to do this? And at the same time, we're saying, we support everybody's constitutional rights. We take an oath to support and defend them. So we're on your side, we're not against you, we're about catching bad guys.
And you use the word browbeat. I'm sorry, does anybody
Use the microphone, please, if you would.
Does anybody in here feel like I browbeat them today, besides this gentleman? Okay, well, thank you, because if I did, I sincerely, from the depths of my heart, apologize to you. It wasn't my intention to browbeat anybody. All I'm doing is asking for you to give me an opportunity today to convince you that law enforcement's your friend, we're not your enemy.
Bobby, you need some help there?
I think I'm going to.
Come down with a question.
Thank you. I appreciate that you're being here and want you to take, I'm Glenn Howard. I want you to get all the drugs when you can. I was here last week and the question I asked, and I've had several also observe that have done like I did. I'm the one who pointed out I had a little rent house that, much to my displeasure, I discovered a renter had it wired and plumbed